Modern day relationships are absolutely trash. I think we can all agree with that. Everyone is struggling in the modern dating scene, not just guys, but also girls are as well, right? It's very easy for us guys to think, man, girls have it so easy. They can get so many guys, they make a Tinder profile and they get 1,000 likes. But go and ask any girl you know if she's actually happy and satisfied in her dating life, and they'll literally all say no. So no one's winning, right? So if no one's winning, why are we still following the same script as everyone else? We're more like, let's be honest, more enlightened, smarter than the general population. 99% of people are doing something wrong, and yet when it comes to dating, why are we copying them? Because you want to know what the mistake they're making that we make as well. By we, I'm talking about sort of guys on self-improvements who are watching like educational content instead of being on TikTok and watching porn and whatever, and guys who are starting to take a step into masculinity. Guess what mistake we're making that the average little soy boy makes as well? We are treating our relationships like friendship. The average guy gets into a relationship and he starts kissing this girl, he starts having sex, and they're quite polarized, but out of nowhere, he starts spending so much time with this girl that they start saying that they're like best friends and they can't wait to spend more time together. And that seems so sweet in this modern days, doesn't it? What happens to this average guy and average girl in a relationship? What happens to them? They spend a load of time together, they have lots of sex, and then it dies down very quickly. Why? Depolarization. They're spending too much time together, and they're spending essentially non-sexualized, non-polarized time together. They're acting like friends, which seems so normal. Like inside of your mind is probably the belief that I'm kind of wrong here, right? I would just ask you, where did that belief come from? Did it come from some kind of like based like realization that you actually had? Or is it just a belief that 99% of people have, and it's been put in your mind as well, that like, oh, we're like best friends is what every little person says, right? But they've all got shit relationships, don't they? So why are we taking their beliefs in? Because the people who say we're like best friends, what they're actually saying is like, we don't really fuck anymore. Oh yeah, sex is overrated anyway, guys. Like, you know what the spiritual people call their girlfriends and wives? Like, if you ever read like a book from a spiritual teacher like David Data, they'll never say the term girlfriend. They'll never say the term wife. What do they say? What do they call it? They call them lovers. Spiritual people don't call, like a spiritual man doesn't call his girlfriend. He calls her his lover. There's a difference. And when you see us normal folk, we call each other boyfriend, girlfriend because we are literally friends. And that doesn't seem bad. It still seems like so wholesome that, we spend so much time. We spend all day, every day together. That's coming obviously from insecurity, because if you're honest, just say no, yes or no in your mind. Are you a masculine man? Yes or no? Yes. Would you like to date a feminine woman or a masculine woman? Yes, just which one? You'd probably say feminine, right? If you're a masculine man, you're attracted to feminine energy, right? Then you can't be friends with her. One of you has to betray their sexual energy to be friends. Usually it's a mix of both. If you are a masculine man and you're not bullshitting yourself, now you might not be that masculine right now, but it's something you want to bring back into your life, and you've got to kind of reclaim it because it was taken from you in the modern world with the destruction of testosterone and everything. But if you know you're supposed to be a masculine man, and if you're more attracted to feminine women, the time you can spend together is either going to be polarized because you're masculine, she's feminine, you can't help but want to fuck. But so many, like if you spend more time than that, suddenly that desire to fuck goes down, and one of you has to go closer to the middle. You being a masculine guy, you would have to become way more feminine to spend time with her. Being like the little cutesy moments together, just gossiping, talking about whatever you want. Or if you refuse to be more feminine, she will have to become more masculine, and she'll start talking about goals and business. She'll start sitting in more stillness, and she'll become more stoic. And if any of these happen, if you become more feminine or she becomes more masculine, your sex life will deteriorate. Inevitably will deteriorate. One of the greatest mistakes that I see happen in the modern day is that men and women who get together do not sit down and have a formal discussion of what is the priority of their relationship. Think about doing this for yourself. If you're in a relationship right now, or you can maybe like save this in your mind for when you do get into a relationship. Have a formal conversation where you sit down and you discuss what is the priority of our relationship. What are we not willing to sacrifice for anything? What are we willing to sacrifice everything for? Most people won't even have this conversation, but if they did, it would look something like the guy saying, yeah, sex is probably the most important thing. And the girl would like be offended and she'll say, no, friendship and spending time. And the guy would be like, yeah, he'd curl his legs over. Like, he'd stop manspreading. Friendship and spending time together is really nice. Actually, yeah, you're right. This is how most of the conversations would go if people were having them, but they're not. How the conversation would go between a masculine man and a feminine woman. Well, they'll think, okay, there's only really one thing that we can do for each other, which is transmuting our sexual energy to each other. I'm a masculine man. I can give you this masculinity. You're a feminine woman. You can give me your femininity. Let's merge in the middle. And the greatest act of that is making love. It sounds odd, especially in the modern day. But what if, just what if, the priority of our relationship was sex? Many women would be quite offended at that. Many men won't admit that that's actually what they would prefer. It's unfortunate that women have been brainwashed by feminism to sort of devalue their sex life. It's so strange. Feminism's told them to, be empowered and take off your clothes and post pictures on the internet and go get jobs and be masculine and don't be feminine. Don't be feminine. Even though the movement is called feminism, it's so fucking weird, right? But feminism has plagued your woman's mind or your future woman's mind to think that if you sat her down and said, yeah, I think sex should be the priority, making love should be the priority of our relationship, she might see it as like an insult. When you have a good feminine woman who's too intelligent for these, like the feminism brainwashing, she'll understand. And actually, if you sit down and intelligently discuss things, you talk about your boundaries, your expectations of the relationship, of kind of your like mutual agreement together. There's only really one thing that you guys can do together better than everything else, right? Because when it comes to friendship, if you're not bullshitting yourself, you being friends with a masculine man is going to be better than you being friends with your feminine woman. Don't bullshit yourself. Many men and many women bullshit themselves, especially women these days. Women will convince themselves, like, oh, but I just get along better with guys. No. She will get along better with feminine women if she's a feminine woman herself. You will undoubtedly get along better with masculine men if you are a masculine man yourself. So to have your relationship as just friendship, we're like best friends. If anything, it's like all you're doing is choosing to have a worse friend than what you normally would have. Sure, you can giggle and laugh, but it's like as a masculine man, your friendship is not just catered towards like the giggles that you can have with your girlfriend, but rather it's like brotherhood that will get you to your goals and to your mission and that will develop your character. So if you're a masculine man, you'll be friends with a masculine man. But in the modern world, like you're seen as like an evil person if you end up saying like, yeah, I don't really want to be friends with like my girlfriend. It kind of makes sense that like our relationships should revolve around making love. Even though the modern world will tell you that this is sexist and you're treating your woman like a sex object. What if you did that? Just think about it. What if 99% of people would think that this is evil? What if you disagree with the 99%? Because when you disagree with the 99% in every other area of life, it served you well, hasn't it? When you disagree and you do the opposite of what normal people are doing in every other area of life, it served you well, so why not in this one? Because the average person makes their relationship fit in so many boxes. Friendship, rearing children, marriage, household. And then their actual sexual compatibility, their polarization just diminishes because it's not made as the priority. And this sounds crazy. Even to go as far as to say that this could be the priority above raising children. Think about that. Maybe your relationship with your woman, maybe raising children is still not even the priority. You know why? Almost every couple, modern day normies, they make raising children the priority, don't they? It's not special to like have a child and to make that the priority of your relationship. This is what happens to every couple, right? 99% of couples have a child and the child is now the relationship's priority. And what happens to 99% of couples? Dead bedroom, potential divorce, potential cheating, and the child's not even better off anyway. You grew up in literally a household where your parents made you the priority. And in a weird way, that actually hurt you more because then your parents stopped sharing as much love time. They used to have sex 5 times a day, then 3 times, then 1 time, then a few times a week. And what do you think's happening in their minds and hearts as now they haven't had sex for like 3 weeks because they're prioritizing the children? They start arguing. They start butting heads. They start disliking each other. They lose the passion and the love that brought them together. And here they are prioritizing you And now you're growing up in a household where your parents are arguing and your parents are shouting. Like this sounds like kind of weird to say, but if your parents fucked good, they wouldn't have been like that. Think like you would have been saved from so much trauma and heartache and pain if your parents prioritized each other and the love that they had, even above prioritizing you. Because when let's say like I get into a relationship, right? Well, I'm in one, but let's say okay, we have a child and we make the child a priority, which seems like absolutely what you would do. But we must use common sense and logic. If we make something the priority, that means that everything else has to be sacrificed for it. We still want to do everything else, but like you can only have one priority. You can't bullshit and say, yeah, our priorities are this and this and no. There's one priority to your relationship, and you must admit that you're willing to sacrifice everything else for that priority. When you do that and you make the children the priority, or you make the friendship, whatever it is, naturally your sexual compatibility drops, and that was the biggest bonding moment that you had. So it sounds so odd because 99.9% of people would disagree with me, but again, we weren't trying to listen to the 99%. What if through your entire relationship, your spiritual and sexual compatibility to each other was the priority, even when you had children? Because let me break this down in a very like autistic scenario, right? Let's say you and your woman are just about to have sex and your child starts crying. There and then in that situation, what would be better? For you to continue having sex almost with like a smile on your face, thinking like, oh man, we've got to go, help little Timmy stop crying. Or for you to, both of you go like, oh, haha, like, we're parents, okay, it's your turn, haha. She goes and takes care of little Timmy whilst you go to the toilet and go look at a different woman on your phone and masturbate instead. What actually would have helped your entire household more? Even let's say specifically for little Timmy, like your baby, if you prioritize sex instead of running over to help him, like, when he was crying, not ideal situation at all. But imagine the energy and happiness you would have brought when you did pick up your little baby afterwards, when you and your woman have just bonded. And compare that to the energy and sort of, emotions your woman would have literally synced into your child of another kind of feeling of being unloved, of her needs not being met. Because children pick up on this, this, right? If we have a little baby and we're anxious, the child will actually develop symptoms of anxiety as it grows up. Because, like, especially your own baby will co-regulate with you. It will like merge with your own heartbeat, with your own nervous system. So if you prioritize like the childcare over sex, you will transmit worse like emotions and history and story and trauma to your child. How crazy that's an extreme example. That's like, what we're saying is like, the biggest sort of thing in life is essentially passing on genes and having children. And I'm saying that literally still it would make sense to make the priority of your relationship just making love. Now that you've identified this, think about how wrongly we went through previous relationships where we've prioritized our mutual goals, which puts her into the masculine. We've prioritized spending loads of loving time together, which puts us into the feminine. We've prioritized our friendship. We've prioritized, maybe like sharing the house or the apartment that we stay in. So is it any wonder why previous relationships, your sex life started to like kind of die down? It went from this exhilarating thing that used to make your heart jump, where she would get like so wet that it would like drip, to just this routine little, 3 minutes of like cope, or not even 3 minutes, 30 seconds of cope kissing, spit on your dick, put it in, go hard a little bit. Yeah, oh, I'm such a big guy, I can fuck really hard, and boom, spurt like a little fucking monkey and call it a day. Now you're tired for the next like 48 hours. That's what it's come down to now. Is there any wonder why like our woman doesn't feel as special to us? Do you remember what it felt like the first like time you met her? Do you remember what it felt like the first time you had sex and your heart used to beat fast? It was the same thing, maybe even more so for her. The first time you locked eyes and you had great eye contact. You know what the gut-wrenching thing about all this is? You both will still have that same kind of emotional feeling, but now with other people that you're actually more sexually polarized with. Because of how we've treated our relationship like friendship, what happens is that we lose this like sexual feist that we had for each other, this sexual desire. We still want to have sex and stuff, but it's so ritual. It's like, it's so plain and routine now. But remember what it felt like to hold that your woman's eye contact for the first time. That's how it feels now with other women and not with your woman anymore, doesn't it? Because we've lost the priority. And how sad is that? And how fucking gut wrenching is it to think that how your woman felt when you first held eye contact with her? She now feels when when a Chad walks into the room and holds eye contact with her. And she doesn't get that from you anymore because you prioritize friendship instead. There was times, the first few times, maybe before you ever even had sex with your woman, where she got like literally so wet that it literally dripped outside of her. And she can't remember the last time that happened with you, but she will have that with other guys who are still sexually polarized with her. What are you going to prioritize then? You still want to prioritize friendship? There's going to be some women watching this who comment angry below saying, some bullshit. Women aren't sex. They don't, they're so unintelligent. They don't even understand what we're talking about here. This isn't about treating a woman like a sex object. This is about understanding that this may be the greatest priority that you both could have for your mutual growth together, because sex is more than just like this pleasurable, fun act which stimulates your genitals. It's one of the most restorative, the most loving act that you could do. And it's a very spiritual and even religious experience if you do it in like a deep way. Imagine giving all that up just because you've been brainwashed by the modern day to think that you should be friends with your girl. So this is where it gets a bit like tricky. But my fellow entrepreneurs will really know this. To prioritize something and to get the most out of the thing that you want, you have to be willing to sacrifice other areas. If you want to grow one business, that means that you've got to stop being an idiot and stop trying to grow 3 different businesses at once. So if you want to prioritize an area of your life, you have to be willing to kind of like almost sacrifice or at least slow down in the other areas. A lot of the gym guys will know this, right? What happened to your life when you really wanted to prioritize the gym and you were eating so often, hitting the perfect macros, you're bulking, eating 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 calories a day, you're training 6 times a week. Some other areas of your life did kind of suffer in some ways. You just had less of a sort of capacity, less time to do those other things. This is the exact same thing in your relationship. This is the hardest part now. This is the part you may struggle in. If you agree with what I've said in this video and you agree that the priority of your relationship should be making love, because that's the thing you definitely don't want to lose, because everything else kind of is hooked onto that, your loving, sexually polarized relationship with her. This means you specifically have to let some other things go. You specifically have to let other areas of your current relationship die out. And this is what's very difficult, I'll say, for me as well. Because you know what you have to let go? The cute friendship time that you spend with your girl. The time that she actually kind of enjoys, but she doesn't realize is actually causing a part of the destruction of your relationship, of your polarity. So for example, with me and my girl, we do a lot of like time together. We do a lot of like going to cafes and reading the same books and everything, speaking about like self-improvement. And I realized that these cute little times that we go to the cafe and we get some nice food and everything, I realized that was actually a negative for our relationship, even though she says she likes it, because it was making us too much like friends. So it was only a few days ago when it really fucking hit me, because I was in the cafe, I just finished my workout. I'm in like sort of demon bulk mode, trying to eat like 1.8 calorie, 1.8K calorie meal. And she's there trying to be like loving with me. And it's like, I couldn't be present because I was focused on my goal of like getting the calories in after this workout. And even after that, it's like, I'm in business mode. I want to write down some notes on my phone and everything. And here she is. Like, I'm not present with her. What she's seeing from me right now is like pretty much like essentially like a guy who's almost worthless to her in some ways, because I wasn't present, I wasn't loving. And when I mentioned to her, I told her yesterday, we're not being friends anymore. We're not spending like friendship time together anymore. And of course she was upset, and she was almost like taking the piss and kind of joking, like, oh, you don't want to be friends with me and stuff. And I was like, no, like I actually looked at her seriously and said, no, I will not allow friendship to destroy what we actually have. If you agree that men and women are maybe not supposed to be friends, like let's say at least like masculine men and feminine women, especially when it comes to being sexually attracted to each other, then you have to be willing to let go of the certain habits and hobbies that you do, which are making you more like friends. So what are the times that you spend with your woman when you're not getting down to it, when you're not actually like being sexual with each other? Maybe you're just like spending time chilling, watching Netflix. Maybe you're going out to like cafes and restaurants. When you really think about it, bro, 99% of couples, what do they do for their little date night? They go to a fucking restaurant. So how is that? Like, again, we're not going to follow the 99%. So why do we think that cute little date nights are the right thing when 99% of people do that? How about leveling up your sex skills so that you can give her a cervical orgasm? Not the clitoris, not the little stumpy like shit that everyone's so addicted with, because that's the only kind of orgasm most guys can give to a woman. But there's like a deep orgasm that takes like over an hour to give, which you have to do through penetration, which you need to learn like spiritual sex to do so. What if that was the time you were spending together instead of being sat next to each other with your fucking legs crossed, ordering a little coffee for her? No like polarity between you, not even kissing, not even holding each other's eye contact, just talking about the chores and the tasks that you've got to do today, discussing pure logical things, putting her into the masculine, and now she seems so fucking ugly to you. She's lost that like mystery enchantment that made you like turn into an animal. And she's lost it now because she has to act all masculine with you. Or vice versa, you're spending time with her shopping and saying, "Oh, well, that's a good color for you." And she's thinking, "Damn, like, yeah, thank you for helping me pick the dress." Even if you are acting like a little, like, soy boy, little feminine bitch. And there's going to be so many, like, I can already imagine the modern day people who don't understand this at all. They'll be watching this thinking, "Oh, well, that's cringe, bro. I always help my girl with the dress, bro." Yeah, and this is why your sex life fucking sucks. This is why your relationship will end in like 3 months, because she's cheated with a guy that she's actually still sexually polarized with. This is my current belief about relationships, which might be open to change in the future. But this is what I've learned from like researching spirituality recently. This one video might even just save your relationship. It might save you from sacrificing your relationship to the point that it turns into a friendship, to the point that it turns into a breakup. We teach a lot more about this inside of Adonis School. When you join that, you join our private community where we teach you how not to get cheated on, how not to break up in these ways, how not to make these stupid mistakes where your girl becomes depolarized and you stop having sex. That's the top link in the description, Adonis School. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.